Hey guys, Dirk here on the MGTOW Solution. I want to give you an update on the channel so you have some idea of what may be coming up in the future. There's been a lot of interesting developments in the Red Pill community lately, along with a lot of controversy. Channels have been taken down, and our detractors seem intent on doing everything within their power to shut down our message. I haven't personally been following all of the developments, mostly because I've been busy creating my own content and busy with a lot of other things. Those other things have been demanding a lot of my time, which is why I haven't done a video for a while. That being the case, I've been asking myself whether I should continue with the channel or maybe just call it good and stop producing videos. After all, I've pretty much already said what I have to say, so the question is, where do we go from here? I could just provide commentary on current events. That seems to be a pretty successful formula. But my intent was never to create the largest channel possible or to use it as a source of income, which is why my videos aren't monetized and why I don't have a PayPal account listed. My intent has always been just to throw my perspective out there for whoever may find it useful. And the channel has grown, but is still quite small. I figure my approach is probably gonna have limited appeal because I'm more interested in that part of the MGTOW philosophy where you get on with your life, as opposed to, say, simply reviewing case studies of insane behavior by female psychos. And that means I don't need to keep track of every case of men getting fucked over, the women who fuck them over, or every fake harassment and divorce rape example you hear about every day. I realize that men need to be aware of what's going on, but those things are being thoroughly covered by others, so I don't see any point in me doing the same. So I've been mulling over whether or not to post an exit video and move on. But rather than do that, I think I'm going to keep producing, but not put myself under any pressure or deadlines. I have a lot going on at the moment, so the frequency of my postings will be a bit more sparse and unpredictable. Personally, I get my MGTOW content from several sources, and some of the best ones only put out videos occasionally and have relatively small audiences. I figure I'll probably be in that category. In my mind, the most important thing is for individual men to find the best approach for them. My ideas are likely to resonate with a small percentage of those men, and that's absolutely fine. I've always been pretty far out of the mainstream, and I'm totally okay with it. So here's where I'm going with this. A while back, I did a video titled MGTOW Creativity, linked in the show notes. I did that one because once you reclaim your freedom, you can pursue whatever creative interests you have. In my case, I've always been interested in nature photography and music. Since I'm about to start traveling out west, I'm going to combine those two things and put together some scenic videos accompanied by music that I plan to write and record on the road. This will primarily be for my own benefit because I enjoy the creative process. I'll post those videos on another channel, but will also post them here to wrap up whatever MGTOW videos I produce. So, like the creativity video, I'll cover whatever topic I'm getting into and then close the video with some music and scenery for whoever wants to stick around for it. And you may say to yourself, what the fuck does that have to do with MGTOW? To me, it has everything to do with MGTOW because it's me going my own way. And for me, that way includes time in the mountains and music. And I know that some would view this as watered down MGTOW because I won't be spending all my time on rants about random bitches who have no impact in my life. Don't get me wrong, I'll continue to address men's issues, the endless problems with feminism, and all the other crap that needs to be addressed. And I'll throw in the occasional rant, but to me, that's only half the story. I believe the other half needs to be told as well, the positive half, the part where life gets better. That's what my little music videos will be about, and I plan to put a lot of energy into that. Things like playing guitars or riding motorcycles or whatever often get overshadowed by all of the bullshit happening in society because there's so much bullshit to go around. But the good news is that we're largely exempt from it. There's some horrendous shit happening to men every day, and it'd be great if we could somehow put an end to it, but at this point, all the individual man can do is make sure it doesn't happen to him. And what's the best way to do that? Keep women at arm's length, farther if they're feminists. If men were united, I'm convinced we could actually eradicate feminism fairly quickly. But it clearly isn't going to happen anytime soon because the world is full of feminist indoctrinated blue pill simps and manginas who are perfectly happy being pussy beggars. As long as this is the case, we're likely to continue heading down this disastrous road. We're probably not going to see any real progress for men in society until we hit a breaking point and there's some kind of financial or other disaster. But this doesn't mean that all men are fucked. And it doesn't mean we can't have an impact even though we're just focusing on living our own lives. In other words, the feminist agenda is damaged by men going their own way. But in my mind, this is a beneficial side effect, not an objective. To use myself as an example, I'm no longer available to be a resource provider for a woman, and I never will be. So whoever might have been hoping that I would step up to play that role will have to keep looking. And she might run into the same thing with the next guy, because more and more men are wising up. If she ultimately can't find someone to take care of her, she may end up actually working to support herself. She might be able to milk government benefits, but if she doesn't have young children, maybe not. So she can work and pay taxes and take care of herself. That's one less parasite subsisting through the efforts of a man. At the same time, as the man in question, I'll enjoy the freedom that comes from simply declining to be the resource provider. That means I control my own resources, including time, money, and my ability to continue procuring still more resources if I choose to do so. Should I decide to exchange more of my time, talents, and work capacity for more resources, then those resources will be mine, 100%. And I can expend them as I see fit, which means they won't be squandered on fashion, status symbols, or other trappings of the modern materialist. In short, they'll only be expended on things that I determine to provide value and improve the quality of my life. Then, I'll share this little secret with other men, so that they too can decide whether or not the sacrifices required to be with a woman are worth it. In most cases, if they're honest with themselves, they'll realize that they're not, and will follow my lead. They'll decline any offers by women to exchange their very freedom for the false promise of access to a vagina, and will instead make the prudent decision to go their own way. Over time, since they're not expending their resources on designer handbags and worthless jewelry for someone else, they'll be able to create whatever lifestyle that's within their means. Upon seeing this, their friends and acquaintances will inquire as to how they've managed to create such a life, to which the liberated man will reply, by not wasting time and money on women. This will result in light bulbs illuminating above the heads of the men within the original man's circle of influence. They'll then be faced with a decision, essentially blue pill or red pill. Those who choose the blue pill will, of course, stay on the plantation in the hopes of some future payoff. Those who choose the red pill, however, will be in for a completely different experience, one where expenditure of effort results in immediate and measurable benefits to him. The blue pill chump, meanwhile, will expend plenty of effort, but he'll see it benefit someone else and then wait hopefully for that benefit to somehow roll downhill to him. But it won't happen. So he'll expend more effort, with the idea that at some point he'll see a payoff. But eventually he'll step back and say, wait a fucking minute. I'm expending more and more time and effort and getting less and less in return. I'm working more and more and getting less and less sex. What the fuck is going on here? And at this point, he'll finally see the light. He'll realize that his efforts have resulted in little more than a closet full of shoes for someone else when it could have been benefiting him. And you know what he's going to say at that point? He's going to say, fuck this, I'm out. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, and he'll remember that red pill he was offered in the past. Then we'll have yet another man refusing to waste his talents and efforts on some ungrateful, screeching harpy who doesn't actually give a fuck about him beyond his ability to pay for her shoes and various other status symbols. So he'll bail, and you know what he'll do after reclaiming his freedom? He'll tell other men. And all of this started with me simply going my own way and pointing out to other men that they too have this option. I never directly engaged with feminists because there'd be no point in doing so. All I did was live my own life and share my experience. Meanwhile, there will still be women out there with the mindset, I'm pretty and I have a vagina, so I should get whatever I want. And they'll be wondering why it isn't working anymore. They'll realize that the only men interested in them are desperate, ignorant pussies who will do anything to be accepted and have absolutely nothing to offer. But they'll never figure it out because they lack the self-awareness to figure it out. How many women does it take to change a light bulb? One. They just hold on and let the world revolve around them. You can't expect such people to comprehend what's happening here. So the feminocracy is in no danger of collapsing anytime soon. Too many blue pill males. But it doesn't matter because you can solve the problem for yourself right fucking now. It may not fix society, but that's not your responsibility. This is the society that told you your role is to contribute and be a loyal worker. The same society that transferred your wealth to another because vagina. The same society that left unchecked will result in men working more and women working less because, well, that's just the way it goes. The bottom line is this. Collectively, men are not united and so cannot take on feminism directly. Women, however, are united, and they're aided by countless useful idiots that I'd be hesitant to describe as men. So things are likely to continue going on their present course until we get to some kind of shit hits the fan scenario. Those of us who operate under principles of common sense, logic, and reason are vastly outnumbered by those driven by politically correct, emotional ideology centered around the feminist socialist agenda. It also appears that the premise of the film Idiocracy is coming true. It's like there's a perfect storm of stupidity, entitlement, and misandry brewing, so it's probably prudent to prepare. Since men, as a group, seem willing to let this all happen, the only logical course of action is to look out for yourself as an individual. And of course, as MGTOW, you already know this. But a lot of men don't. Actually, most men don't, because the feminist infrastructure has reached such enormous proportions. Still, we can serve as an example of what's possible when you reject the agenda and go your own way. And that's all I'm doing here with my humble little channel. The fact is, you can still have an awesome life despite all the bullshit happening in the world today. Personally, I've found that simply maintaining my independence frees me of most of the obligations that others want to impose upon me for their benefit. Those obligations are imposed through the institution of marriage, so by avoiding marriage, one can avoid entering into a contract with the state that offers absolutely no benefits to you as a man, but comes with enormous risk. Don't get married, cohabitate, or get a woman pregnant. It's that simple. If you follow those suggestions, you'll be able to stay in charge of your own life and can take it in any direction you choose. Men are figuring this out, which is why the marriage rate is declining. Women still want to get married, obviously, now more than ever because the benefits to them are huge and there's absolutely no risk. But men are saying no, and this represents progress. You have the option of participating in the established agenda or declining to do so and maintaining your sovereignty instead. Having done both, I can speak from experience when I say that the latter choice is a much better one. So, I'll keep putting out videos as long as it makes sense to do so, and those videos will reflect my personal philosophy and style, which I realize won't appeal to everyone. but that's why we have so many channels to choose from. Take what is useful, discard the rest. Thanks for listening, gentlemen, and have a great day.